welcome to Breaking into Tech. I'm really excited to talk to Gregorio again. We're going to talk about AI, and I feel like this episode is perfect timing with XAI came out with their new chatbot. I can't remember what they called it, Gorg, or I don't know, it's something weird.
It's another. I think it was Grok. When we in
Yeah,
programming, so everything is new and everything is not. Like we used to Grok things before, right?
right.
So him calling it Grok is not. It's kind of like it's kind of weird. Like we had a Grok. We used to Grok things already in software development. So him calling it Grok is it's not a new
Interesting.
thing. Him just kind of borrowing a name again.
Yeah.
So Grok and not just him, but I forget what else. They OpenAI also did new stuff today.
Oh, I didn't see that. I've been podcasting all day, so.
Yeah, over the weekend. I can't remember when they announced it, and I haven't had a chance to. They I forget the name of it. I read this morning the announcement of some of the things, but new stuff again from OpenAI this morning as well. So a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of why we needed to do another AI podcast to talk about the things that have changed. It's been a few months, and a few months is a short amount of time, but also a long time with the way tech is changing, and there's so much going on. It's hard to keep up.
Yes, it is. It's hard to keep up, which makes the job difficult and at the same time fun and exciting, which makes the job, in context of what I do, that's exactly why there's a job, right? Because it's difficult, it's fun, it changes. Every day is a new day. Every day is a challenge. Every day is like, oh wow, now I gotta go find out what this Grok stuff's about. Gotta go see how the new stuff that OpenAI published. How is that going to affect my day? My day as a developer. But even if I'm not a developer, if I'm a product manager, if I'm a technical project manager, like how is that going to affect my day? How can that affect my day? How can it affect my day? How can I bring it into my day so that I can be more productive? Right. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and we started by talking over the weekend. There were new announcements from XAI and from OpenAI, but that's just this past weekend. Are there any other major announcements that stand out the last few months that you're
Well,
like, there's too many?
yeah, no, there's too many. There really are. There's just too many. Um, there's too many. But so right, to sum it up, it's been an exciting year in software. That this year has just been a big year. Where when was the last time that you felt, me being in software, right? Us talking about technology, that it's been such a big change that day by day, week by week, like literally, like wow, look at the stuff that we can do, right? Like wow, right? I mean, self-driving cars is a thing, and all the different things that are happening with generative AI, and how it affects us in all the little different parts of your day are such an important thing. When you think about AI and how in the world of photography or design, back, think back 15, 20 years, how cool it was to do um, like Photoshop effects, right? And like the cool stuff. Now the things that you can do, right? If we called it effects in like sepia effects, like on a photo, right? Like that's what we would have called it like 15 years ago. But now think about the effects that you do to a photo with AI. Whoa, right? Just kind of like wow, just really that's the reaction. It's just wow, it's just amazing, just amazing stuff. So it's just really exciting. Just it's continued excitement in the world of software, right? And how it affects you.
Yeah, I was just remembering last week I was hearing about Microsoft's new program and how I can't remember what it's called. There's too many names. I'm just gonna
Yes.
say, but you can like take a PowerPoint or an Excel file and be like, do this formula and it'll do it. And so like all or make this chart with this information and it can do it. And it's just crazy to think like how that's gonna transform everything instead of like being someone who truly understands how to work Excel. Now you can just say a command and then it's into the thing.
Exactly, like the integration into like like if you've ever played with Excel, like if you're an Excel wizard, right? This might not be news to you, but in the past few years, I've learned to play with like the little pivot tables. Like, hey, here's some data, insert a pivot table, and that might seem like wizardry for you. And some Excel people listening here might be like, "Oh, come on, that's like kind of boring." But now, if you weren't paying attention, now the stuff, the AI that can bring into it, and like, oh man, it's crazy.
It
It's
is.
nutty. It's really nutty the kinds of stuff that it'll because it'll just analyze for you, give you your pivot tables, put graphs up there for you, um, with you just presenting it some data. Here's some data. Tell me some stuff. The newer stuff in the Open AI interface with you just uploading some images and it telling you information about the images um, and that's just been kind of cool from a non-developer perspective to be able to do that. That's got to be really cool. We've been using some back-end tools to work with some images, one for fun, and at Sabio we've been doing some stuff with some video analytics as well. That's been kind of cool. Um, that's just, again, just more excitement and just kind of like awesomeness from a developer perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And last time we talked, we ended up talking about the idea of regulation and what the government is doing. And I know that there's been a lot of talk within the government and Congress since the last time we talked. So, what has the government really done with regulation and AI, or have they just talked and not really done anything?
Well, the last thing that I heard, which I think was last week, they
Yeah.
I don't know what it was that they published or they had drafted, but gosh, I hope they don't do anything. I hope they, I mean, the puck is still moving. Like things are still changing so dramatically. The stuff that just came out this weekend. How are you going to start to try to make rules for this stuff? And if you do, one thing we know for sure is that if you start putting rules around this stuff right now, it's just going to slow everything down. And I realize that there's going to be some people and there's going to be some opinions. However right you might be, man, the type of change and impact that this change could have in a positive way, why hamper that? Why hamper that? If you're concerned about something or someone in some harm, like, well, focus on bringing the good to that area and like bringing those people along or bringing that thing along and bringing AI to that area of the world that you think might not be getting it. And when I say that area, whether it's that area here in LA or the group of people here in LA or that whoever it is, like bring the AI to that whatever, because we got some good momentum here and people are really excited about it. And I mean, people are excited about it, right? All sorts of demographics are excited about it, and people putting time into it. Let's keep that momentum going. It's really exciting.
It is. Yeah, there's so many cool things that are happening and so many cool things that I mean, are potential in the future, so I could see how, like, regulating it, especially if it's by people in Congress who aren't, tech people and they don't understand what they're talking and they could do more damage than good.
Oh no, I mean it's scary how much they don't know what they're talking about, right? They're just starting to pick up. They're starting to figure out how ad driven networks work. Never mind how AI works. They're not going to know what they're talking about. And so to try to think that they're going to limit how my teenagers how they interact with AI, why would they do that? Why would they? No, don't let them interact with it. Let them learn from it. Let them play with it. Let them work with it. Let them learn from it. Let them grow with it. Like let them do that. Why would I want them to limit it? They literally don't know how to work how Facebook makes money. So let them. That's all right. Go do something else. Right? There's
Yeah.
bigger problems in the world right now than AI.
Let's get a budget passed.
Mhm.
So are you seeing we talked, like, a little bit about it with, like, all the different technologies, but are you seeing any industries that are being disrupted by the introduction of AI?
Well, there's a lot of conversation. There's always look. I've been in technology so long that it's like they say, like everything's changed, but everything it stays the same. Like there's always talk about people losing their jobs and things changing because of X, Y, and Z. And like the reason might change, but like we're losing the jobs because of X, Y, and Z. There's always a reason for this bad thing to happen. And so here it is again. And so yeah, there's a disruption. We don't need these types of people, and we don't need this because of X. But look, like it's just the opportunity um, for you to deliver value to a company is different than it was a year ago, is different than it was 2 years ago, and it's different than it was 20 years ago, right? Like if you didn't have Excel 20 years ago, could you be an accountant? Yes, you could. But now that you have Excel, how, the type of value that you're going to deliver as an accountant is obviously going to be different. And we still needed you as an accountant 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Doesn't mean that we don't need you today. And so, as a software engineer or everything adjacent to it, we still need you, which is going to be different. And if you don't want to be different, then that's where the problem is. This. So, if you don't want to be different, if you didn't want to learn, then there's the more things change, the more they stay the same. This has been the same forever. If you don't want to be different, another way of saying that is if you don't want to grow and learn, then I'm sorry, like something bad is gonna happen to you, right? Well, I don't know, however you want to say it, but it is gonna be bad.
Right.
We're gonna outgrow you, and you're gonna be left behind. If you're not gonna grow and learn, you're gonna be left behind. Sorry, you're gonna be left behind. And all right, grow and learn, and you're gonna be okay because tomorrow's a different day, and tomorrow's difference is it's got a little bit more AI than it used to. And I was listening to a podcast over the weekend. Today we call this AI, but again, like 2 or 3 years ago, someone clicking on a couple of buttons and generating a pivot table, the intelligence behind that. One day we went from calling it, we went from calling it, if you go backwards, AI to big data to data analysis to the data analyst to then we just go to number crunching, and then you just go back in time. It's just someone's problem solving. We again like you go back in time, like all the fancy stuff that Midjourney does. You can trace it back to like someone adding a filter in Photoshop or the Adobe After Effects widget that we used to have to buy, right? All of that stuff. If you just roll that back, I mean, what is AI? It's just the next evolution of our software where we're at. It's not some freaky thing, some weird, it isn't like some true weird artificial intelligent being that lives in the machine. It's just, next level of software that we happen to have built. So it's just the next level of software, and that's it. And so you just have to adapt. And if you don't want to, you're going to be obviously upset. You're going to be a little poopy about it. And yeah, you're going to be left behind. Just like we left behind a bunch of people who didn't want to, when I started programming, I started programming JavaScript and VB script. VB script. Oh my God, what is that? Cobalt, right? And like, so the people who didn't grow out of Cobalt, there's a specific segment of Cobalt developers that there are a lot of Cobalt systems still out there, believe it or not. But when we need a Cobalt developer and you're a Cobalt developer, wow, you're in high demand. But other than that, you can't go get a job. You just can't, unless you're one of those like 10 companies still doing Cobalt because you got to support one of these federal systems that never got off of it. Okay.
Right.
Other than that, like you don't got a job. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You have 30 years experience. I can't hire you. You don't know how to write JavaScript. You don't want to learn React. You don't want to learn Vue. It's okay. I have a 21-year-old that wants to learn React, and he's happy and excited about it. It's cool.
It sounds like I've done enough interviews with your graduates that it's already something that you've kind of ingrained into them, that technology is always changing, that you need to keep learning. They often talk about like, well, I've graduated, but then I had to keep coding, I had to keep learning, I had to keep gaining new skills. And so the way that Sabio does their program, you're already preparing students to know that it's always a moving target and that's always requiring more learning and changing. And so it's already kind of ingrained into your system. And now it's even more with AI um, changing as rapidly as it is. Would
Yeah,
you agree?
it is. It's I don't know. I didn't go to school for computer science, so I don't know at what point in time they tell computer science students this. And I can't tell you when I realized this as a young adult. But the world of like, and I don't know, as an adult, you can't stop learning. You cannot. You cannot stop learning in the world of computer science. As a software professional, it is your job to keep learning, and in fact, it's your job to keep making stuff up. Right? You literally have to keep making stuff up every day. Some people don't like that. It's a little challenging. Some people like to just come in and have Monday be just like Friday and Friday be just like Thursday. And if that's what you want in your life, then you can't be part of the knowledge workers, right? The knowledge workers, you literally have to make stuff up. And so being able to have that conversation and that discussion with people, because they're like, hey, but am I going to know enough when I graduate? And look, here's the bad news. It's okay, because you're going to have to keep learning anyway. You know, I'm not going to, I didn't get to module 10. It's okay. You graduate on Friday, you still got Monday. You got Monday to learn, and then you guess after you learn module 10, you got to keep learning these other things that we didn't cover, because there's just no time to cover everything.
Right.
And then, the horrible thing is, as the example that I give people when I talk about this type of stuff, how many times have I learned to upload a file? Like the process of uploading a file from your browser to the back end. I mean, uploading a file is, from a layman's, like you use a browser, like it really hasn't changed in ever. You click on a button, you find it on your computer, and it goes up somewhere. From the back end, it's the same kind of motion. Like, okay, you grab a file, you put it somewhere, but the code that you write has changed. Sometimes, like, what is this? This is a little weird. Like, why am I doing this now? And where you put it and how you put it there has changed a handful of times. Why? Why has it needed to change? It just has. And there's been some good reasons, but I've had to relearn it. And every time I've had to relearn it, it's always just a little annoying because, geez, I already knew how to do this. Why do I got to learn how to do it again? Right? But that code is just like a lot of the code I wrote before, just a little different. Now I got to apply it over here. And, instead of saving all my files now to my own file system and my own network, thankfully, I just always save my stuff now to AWS and let Jeff take care of it. And I go back and grab my files whenever I need it.
That's such a good example because, like, on the front end, you're right, it hasn't changed, but on the back end, it has. And like, I'm sure that's just one out of like thousands and thousands of examples that you could say. Like, it hasn't changed for like the user who's going to upload the file, but for the coding, there's been a lot of changes with cloud data storage, all the other things that have come along with it that make it, it's still the same thing. Click a button, upload, but where it go, yeah, that's such a good example, and it's such a
Yeah.
good way to talk about like how it's always changing and how it's
And
always
it's great
tweaking.
because now I have more time. Instead of worrying about where did I put the file, is the file backed up? What happens if that data center blows up? Where's my other file backup? So all that stuff. Instead of me having to deal with worrying about all that stuff, I can go build other tools and other aspects of accessing that same file and building other functionality around that file and building other features of the site and doing all sorts of other things that frees me up. And so that's what AI has done for us, right? And so coming
Mhm.
back to AI, you have to use it like a tool, like every other tool. It has to make you better, and it has to make you better not just by it's not that I'm a better person or a better developer. It's that now I am free. I've freed up my time, and I have you know given myself a boost, kind of like that file upload. I don't got to worry about that file upload anymore. I don't got to worry about where that file is. I've freed up some CPU, my own personal CPU, to go and do other things, and I feel better about where that file is, and I can go do other things and spend more time doing something else, right? And now instead of me investing time in where that file system is, I can invest my time building something else because I have my little buddy too, right? Like the Copilot, right? The GitHub
Mhm.
Copilot, whether it's the GitHub Copilot or whether I go directly to the one of the other APIs to go and grab some information, extract some information, and do some type of ideation with the tool. Like, here is um, something I want to build, and I literally I debate with the tool what I should be doing and how I should be building something. Um, it feels weird to say it, like you debate with a real little robot, but yeah, you debate like, why should I be doing it that way? You go back and forth with it. It doesn't bother, doesn't matter. It doesn't complain that it's 3 o'clock in the morning, right? You don't necessarily want to be talking to one of your peers at 3 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It's not going to complain. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking about how that goes back to another thing that your graduates have talked about how when you have a problem, you don't just come back to the teacher and be like, I have a problem. It's like, oh, there's your mistake. They ask questions like, how, like, what did you do to get where you were? And so then you go through this like process of looking, and you could use an AI chat box to be like, I did this, what did I do wrong? And have a conversation. But if you're just like, I have a problem, where's the problem, then it's not the same sort of thing. So you're kind of, making it so that they're using human because they're in class, but they can start using that tool once they graduate and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and they don't have
Yeah.
access. Yeah.
And so then the benefit on that is if, when it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you have to go talk to your peer or your director, your manager, your mentor at work, when you go talk to them, you don't go talk to them. I just got this error. Help. Like, you don't go talk to them right away.
Right.
You know that you're going to go talk to them with basically, 3 pages of questions already asked and answered, a full investigation of all the problems that you already, eliminated, and maybe some that you haven't, that you need some help with, right? That you've done an investigation and here it is. I need help, right?
Right.
And that person that you're going to at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because I've been on that end, like, really appreciates that. And they will, ap- appreciate it. They will feel like, hey, this person respects my time. And because of that, they will reciprocate, and it reflects nothing but good stuff upon you in your team, whether that's an in-person interaction or remote interaction. Like, knowing that you can have that interaction with another tool instead of just looking stuff up on Stack Overflow or documentation, like being able to do that and getting that practice in with someone else. We try to obviously do it with instructors, but you can now do it with a tool. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you kind of mentioned earlier that, a lot of the repetitive tasks that AI is taking over, but you said something about like as a software engineer, you're supposed to be thinking and creating. So it's kind of making it so that you have more of the mental and the time to do that as a software engineer. So do you see more job opportunities in the future for software engineers? Because just going back to the like losing jobs thing, if we take away all these tasks and AI are doing them, how does that affect software engineers in the future?
No, I see more. I see more because I see more opportunity. I see one person being more productive. And when you have more productivity, I see a company doing better. If you see companies doing better, I see there being more opportunity for more companies to do more things, right? And I don't see less there. I don't think that it pushes people out. I think it gives people an opportunity to join.
Right.
Um, I see that, I see that at a software company. If a company's doing better, they're going to grow, right? That company is going to grow. Like, and I'm not talking about no trickle down anything. I'm talking about, like, if you have a startup and it's doing well, and you hire someone and it's doing well, and then with that person is generating revenue. Like, hey, let's hire someone else and let's keep growing. I think that that's how that goes. I mean, that's how I've experienced it.
Right.
I've never been at a company that's doing well and it doesn't hire, right? That doesn't happen. Um, I just thought that just doesn't happen. I don't see that happening. Like, you go out and get more contracts, you go out and get more business, you're going to hire more people.
Right.
Um, Now, you could say, well, you need to hire less. Okay, so you need to hire less. That's fine, but you still need to hire. You need to hire. You still need to hire, and more people. Um, Again, then just more opportunity. So, um, and so then again, you always end up to debate. Well, if you need to hire less people, you need to hire less designers. Well, the designers need to do different stuff. Like the designers, before there was all the different tools. Like the job that a designer does today is different than what they did 15 years ago. But do we not need designers today? And the work that the designers did today, right? When I started doing software development, there was no thing as a user experience person. Like, hey, but now we do. And there's an entire segment of an industry called user experience. What do those people do? And if I were to tell you that we don't need user experience for folks, like I would be like, there's absolutely no way. Like I would be laughed out of every room in like in the world. Like that's crazy. Like you need designers, you need people to do user experience. I mean, there's just there's so much there's so much work that needs to get done. Like I'll tell you, from the world of software, one of the things that we just don't get a chance to do much here at Sabio in our training is accessibility, right? When we do software development, when we talk about developing and keeping in mind how you write software and deploy software for accessibility considerations, that's an entire team, right? That's an entire team in a software company. It would be really great. I can tell you that the apps that we build for our students would get an F. Would get an F. If we talk about software apps, it used to be that good luck trying to find documentation on React in English. I mean, anything other than English. But it was relatively not that long ago that companies started publishing in other languages, and that's been great. But in most companies and most things, like it's just English. So having to publish your product to support multiple languages, that's relatively a newer thing. And being able to do that in a seamless manner that doesn't require an army of people, that's the thing. So being able to like add someone in there that's not an army, like, yeah, we do have 2 or 3 people. All right, let's go add 2 or 3 people to do that. That's the
Right.
thing. But okay, instead of 2, 3 people, now I only need one. Now that's manageable. Now I
Right.
can do that. I didn't have to buy a whole army, but now I have 2 or 3 people instead of 10. But now I can afford the person to focus on accessibility. I can afford the person to do internationalization. I can afford the person to do all these other things that I was lacking before that now I can do today. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. So do you see companies that don't use software engineers today looking at ways to incorporate AI into their business in the future and maybe
Well,
bring
the problem is most companies probably don't know that they should be using AI, right? Most companies today, um, there's a lot of companies today that wish they had and could use developers. Now they don't even know about AI, right? Like they probably see like some deep fake of like Tom Cruise, and they think it's still Tom Cruise, right? Like they don't even understand, right? I actually did a demo of some AI for some adults that you would think kind of know, they're in their know a little bit, and it was like wizardry, like it was like magic to them. It just some of them just couldn't wrap their heads around what was going on. Like literally, it was magic. It was like magic. I can't describe it any other way. It was like magic to them. So for us who talk about this stuff, and you're online, I'm online, and we're working, like, and you've interacted with these tools. Some people don't interact with these tools. So when you see, I imagine that someone, if it was presented with like some one of these AI generated videos or an image, or interacts with a generative AI, and they think that there's got to be a human being back there talking to me, right? Like there's got to be a human being back there. This can't be a machine. But some people think it's magic. They're not there yet. So
Right.
then there's like some people in their business, their normal business. They're just like, you're reading up on the AI stuff. You know that Elon put out this Grok thing and there's all this stuff. But there's some people who are just like heads down. Their kids went to school this morning and they went to work. They did their whatever it was that they did, their accountants or their I don't know. They do their normal thing. They watched the game yesterday and they have no idea about AI. Nothing. They don't know. They don't know. And so this is why when you ask me about should we regulate it, absolutely not. I mean, you regulate it, you're gonna put like you're gonna bear hug it into like you're gonna give it a death bear hug. Like, no, don't do that. People need to know about it. We need to tell more people about it because there's plenty of people that just don't know. Those of us that know, we might think that hey, everybody knows about this, but they don't. A lot of people have no idea what this is. And when you present it to them right now, like if you would just pop this open to random people, it's like black magic. He's a wizard, right? It's craziness. But we have to let them know about that. We need to keep building and we need to keep telling people about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my husband recently was like, "How could you incorporate AI into your business?" And even though I know about AI and I know that it's useful, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind on how to exactly use it. And I need to like stop and slow down and then like start trying things because right now I have systems in place and it feels easier to just keep doing all the work. But I know that actually I could have an AI system do some of the things that take me a lot of time, and it's just making that mental shift is really hard because 'cause you're like, "But this is the way I've always done it," but you have to have that mindset of, like, change and focusing on, like, the future and using the tools that are available.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. Definitely.
So, do you have any last minute thoughts about AI? I wanna wrap up the interview and see if there's anything that we didn't cover that you really wanted to talk about, or it's a
No,
changing topic. There's
no,
so
no. I
much.
think I think it's just it was a good time to just renew. Hey, AI is great. Like we keep using more of it behind the scenes here at Sabio, and I think it's always an important thing again because I've been doing this long enough, and every day I read another thing, another article, another message on social media, someone expressing some type of ill content about we're not going to need software developers anymore. Like we don't need like no, it's just different. You know, it's just different. Like entry level talent and what we expect from entry level talent is different, just like what we expect from senior level talent. Like everybody's game has to have changed, and no one's job is like if tomorrow if you're gonna say that today someone's job is at risk, well then, dude, it's been at risk every day because every day is a new day, and every day comes with new challenges and new growth opportunities. And if you're not going to grow, well then yes, you're going to get left behind. So it's exciting. You have to look at it from that perspective. It's exciting, and it's a really great exciting change. It's not like it's a change and a challenge that doesn't come with a lot of positivity and a lot of growth and a lot of just fun. Like this change here comes with a lot of positivity attached to it that is very clear. And you got to be positive about it. You got to embrace it. You got to go full, all in because it's really exciting.
Yeah, I read the book. I think the quote came from this, but it's the future is faster than you think. And they said that for every one job the internet took away, 10 new jobs came in their place, or even more than 10. And I think AI is the same thing. Like for every job it replaces, it actually provides new opportunities, new jobs. And there's things, like if you had told someone in 2000, I have a YouTube channel and I make, millions of dollars, they've been like, what are you talking about? But now that's a job that people do, and it's what my kid wants to be. And
Yeah.
so it's like the new rock star. I'm like, "You guys are
Well,
so silly."
the weirder thing about that it's not just a job that people do; it's a thing that people pay for. Right? Like it's one thing to say
Mhm.
you're going to pay to go watch a big time celebrity at the movie theater, right? Popcorn, Hollywood, or whatever, that you would pay any amount of money for a random Joe Blow channel to do whatever the hell it is you want to watch them do. What? Like, were you crazy? Like,
Yeah.
that's the weird, right? Like, both sides of that coin is just like, what? That's
Yeah.
nutty, right? Or that you would just sit there and not even pay anything. Like, you'd be willing to give YouTube your attention and have pay, be subject to their ads to just watch random people do, paint their house, right? Like, they bought a cabin in the woods and they're like painting their house, and then they bought another house somewhere else and they're painting it over there. Like, they make money that way. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and you just have to be open to change, be open to grow, don't sit still, just keep moving forward. So,
Mhm.
thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more about AI and have a fun conversation. So, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. You have a great day. It's great talking to you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.